Hello everybody, welcome to our Cabinet meeting of Leicestershire County Council. As usual, this is broadcast live to the Council's website and it will be archived so you can view it afterwards. Members are reminded to switch their microphones on before and when they speak, turn them off please, when they've finished. Apologies for absence, we have one from County Kiki. Urgent items, there are no urgent items. Declarations of interest. Does anyone have any interest in respect of any of the items on the agenda? No? Thank you. Right, item 3, the Provisional Revenue and Capital Outturn 2024/25. First item is a report setting out the provisional revenue and capital outturn. The Scrutiny Commission considered report on the 9th of June. Draft minute is attached to the order paper for this meeting. We also have comments from Mr. Innes CC and also attached order paper. Please note the revised recommendation is set out in the order paper. Simone Hines, Assistant Director of Corporate Resource, will present the report. Then I will ask Helen to speak as Cabinet Lead Member. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So this report presents the outturn position for 24/25 across the Council's revenue and capital budgets. The report shows that the Council had a revenue underspend for the year of 8.8 million compared to budget, which is about 1.5% of the Council's net revenue budget. There is a summary of that position and the main variances appendices A and B, just to give you some more information. Just briefly though, the main reasons for that underspend are largely reduced demand for adult social care compared to the budget, and that's largely due actually to proactive work by the Adult Social Care Department to control demand, which has meant that the number of service users hasn't increased as much as in previous years and compared to budgeted assumptions, and the average cost of packages has also reduced compared to some of the budgeted assumptions. We've also benefited from inflation reducing as the year has gone on, and that's also had a particular impact on adult social care because our provider fees are linked to inflation. And also because interest rates have remained higher for longer through the year, we have benefited from some increased investment income. You'll also see throughout the report and the variances actually that we have benefited from some salary savings across all departments really, and that's partly due to the spend control. So we have had spend controls in place all through 24/25, and that has generated some salary savings as we've been kind of having some further controls over recruitment. But we have also had some difficulty in recruiting as well, particularly to some of our more sort of technical and professional posts. And whilst that does generate some savings, it also does put pressure on some of those services potentially if they're struggling to recruit. So there are pros and cons from salary savings. You will then also see in the report that those underspends have been partly offset by an overspend in children's, and that's predominantly due to an increase in the number of residential placements. So that is the type of placement that's more expensive for the council to deliver, and often more complex care is needed. So overall demand for children's has not necessarily increased massively, but it's more the type of demand that we've had, and particularly that demand for residential placements. Away from the general fund, you'll also see in the report that our special educational needs budget remains a significant challenge, and we actually had a deficit of 23 million in 24/25. We budgeted for a deficit of, I think, around 17 million. So we were expecting a deficit, but it is around £6 million higher than that expected deficit. That also means that cumulatively our special educational needs deficit is exceeding 60 million now as at the end of 24/25. The report then recommends that £8.8 million underspend that I've mentioned is contributed to the transformation reserve, and that's to help support the identification and delivery of further savings and efficiencies, and that's particularly because we have got quite a large MTFS gap still, and by 28/29 we expect that gap to be in the region of £90 million, of which about 40 million of that falls in 26/27. So there is a significant requirement to identify some further savings quite quickly to support the 26/27 budget process, and that may need some additional support to do that. The report then also covers the capital programme, and just briefly, you will see in the report there is an underspend against budget of 34 million. That is largely in relation to rephasing of projects, though. So that's just a rephasing of spend over financial years. So that budget will be carried forward still to be spent in future years. The capital programme does have a similar funding challenge to revenue as well, though, just to highlight, and we do have it's about an £80 million gap in the MTFS over the capital programme as well. Those MTFS gaps do make it even more important that we've got a prudent level of reserves, and the report sets out the reserves position at paragraph 85, and you can see that we are still satisfied that the level of reserves is reasonable, and particularly it's important that the budget equalisation reserve that the council holds to cover the MTFS risks stands at least the level of the first 2 years worth of deficits in the MTFS, which will be in the region of £60 million over the next 2 years. And that's just to make sure we've got that reserves cover in case savings take time to deliver. We did have the spending review last week. Whilst it set out some high-level headlines from government spending plans, it doesn't give us any particular certainty yet. And that, combined with impending funding reform, makes it even more important that we get ahead of that financial challenge and we have reasonable levels of reserves in place. So just in summary, the underspend position has been achieved through a combination of continued strong financial control, but also a real focus on managing demand and social care. We have got a real challenge coming in the MTFS in future years with those unknowns that I've just mentioned, but having that underspend through the transformation reserve will help support a further programme of savings and efficiencies to allow us to close that gap. And then the recommendations, just to close, are set out in the order paper, but as the leaders just mentioned, they are amended compared to the report as written, as recommendations E and F are to be deferred to July Cabinet for further consideration. And I'll leave it there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. My comments are that it's important we understand the implications of the spending review. We'll have a report on that at our next meeting. Cabinet will then decide on the review of our spending. We are in a difficult situation. It's a very considerable amount of money. We have to act with due care, but we do have to act. So, yeah. So I'd like to now move that motion and call upon Helen Butler to respond. Thank you. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will second the motion. And I'd just like to firstly thank Mr. Innes for his comments, which officers are considering, and they are aiming to get a detailed written reply to you by the end of the week. I'd just like to say as well, actually, that we have amended item F, so that's slightly different now. And then a few points. Sorry, I don't know how well you can hear me. So I'd just like to reiterate our need for immediate but also considered action. So the medium-term financial strategy was approved by the previous administration, which forecasted a budget gap of 90 million by 2029. And to freeze council tax will increase the budget gap to 130 million. Then on top of this, we have the high needs deficit, which is currently kept off balance sheet as per government policy. This is 64 million and forecast to be 100 million by 2029. It is disappointing that the spending review didn't give us any clarity on the future of the high needs deficit, nor did it provide any clear direction of future funding for local government. I'd like to reassure the public as well that we don't intend to spend tens of millions on procurement. We have been offered a free visit from Reform UK Doge team. This is a huge responsibility, and we will provide an update on the MTFS position in September. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that agreed? Thank you. Item number 4 is local nature recovery strategy based for Leicestershire and Rutland. The next important concerns the outcome of public consultation on the draft local nature recovery and strategy for Leicestershire. Leicestershire and Rutland seek our agreements for its submission to the Council for approval. The Environment and Climate Change Overview and Scrutiny Committee considered the report on the 11th of June, and a draft minute is attached to the order paper. Anne Carruthers, Director of Environment and Transport, and Joanna Gill, Assistant Director, here to present the report. Then I'll ask Adam to speak as the Cabinet lead member. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. It's just me you've got this afternoon. Just to set out for you first, the local nature recovery strategies are a new statutory duty in local authorities. There are 48 covering the country, and our one covers Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland. The County Council was given the role of responsible authority, so we were responsible for developing that strategy. However, I would emphasise that it is a partnership document and we have produced it jointly with all the local authorities within Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, and key stakeholders such as the Environment Agency, the Forestry Commission and landowners. The purpose of the document is as a spatial strategy to drive nature recovery through identifying the most valuable areas for wildlife and nature improvements, and to support that with prioritised actions through a delivery plan. We've worked with partners over the last 2 years or so to develop the document that you see appended to your pack today, and that's included stakeholder engagement and a round of public consultation. The work was resourced via new burdens funding from government as part of a grant funding, and that's detailed in paragraphs 15 to 18 of the report. And we've also been notified just last week through government that we've got an allocation of 135,000 this year in 25-26, which will transition us from development of the strategy into delivery. Cabinet in December 2024 approved the document for public consultation, and this took place over 6 weeks from January to the end of February this year, and it comprised of 24 in-person or online events, as well as being discussed at the Environment and Climate Change Overview and Scrutiny Committee at its January meeting. The changes made to the document as a result of the public consultation are set out in paragraph 45, and the final draft strategy, as appended to the report, was taken to Scrutiny Committee again last week, and the comments of that committee are appended to the order paper today. The Cabinet is asked to note the outcome of the consultation and endorse the strategy to go forward to Council for approval and then submission to DEFRA, the Secretary of State, for final publishing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Anne. I'd like to now call on Mr. Tilbury to speak and to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Anne. I move the motion on today's order paper with full conviction and throw my complete support behind this worthwhile common sense cause. This initiative delivers tangible benefits for our generation and lays a solid foundation for the next. The entire Cabinet is united in backing this strategy, which enriches Leicestershire's environment and uplifts every proud resident in our county. I also thank all the people who have worked so hard on this project over the years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could I call on Mr. Fowler to second the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd basically just like to echo what Mr. Tilbury said in relation to this proposition's benefits for the future generations. I'm current of Leicestershire. People have worked very hard on this, and I think that we are all in agreement that it's the right way forward. And as the lead member for strategic development, there's quite a lot of crossover. So I think one of the biggest considerations for me is that this basically meets the checks and balances that are involved in things like development. So, yeah, I'd like to second that.
Thank you very much indeed. Could I have a show of hands, please? Agreed? Thank you. Right, item 5 is special educational needs and disabilities, the SEN and inclusion strategy of 2025-2028. The next report concerns the outcome of the consultation on the refreshed SEN and inclusion strategy and seeks our approval for the final strategy. Jane Moore, Director, Children and Family Services, and Tim Brown, Assistant Director, will present the report, and then I will ask Charles to speak as Cabinet lead member. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Leader. So the strategy is a key partnership document, so really pleased to be presenting it to you today, and it sets out how we're seeking to improve outcomes across Leicestershire for children with special educational needs and disabilities. So I'll hand over to Tim to go through it in a bit more detail.
So the strategy sets out our vision and priorities for the County Council and its partners in delivering education, health and social care services to support children and young people aged 0 to 25 with special educational needs in Leicestershire. And it really provides the overarching framework for service development in SEND and inclusion services across the county, which includes all of our wider children partnership arrangements. This includes the implementation of a joint commissioning strategy across LLR, which is a really exciting development, and we'll shortly be going through the approval routes across the different organisations. The strategy will be delivered through our 5 overarching SEND principles, which have been co-produced and are outlined on page 4 of the strategy or page 228 of the report pack. And the actions falling out of those are on page 27 or 251 of the report. What we've also made sure is the strategic framework provides adequate flexibility, which may be required to reflect changes outlined in the Education White Paper, which we currently believe will be published in the autumn. But it's fair to say that the uncertainty over potential changes to the national SEND system is beginning to filter through to our operational delivery month on month, with the volume and activity at an all-time high since January, reaching a peak in May and expected to continue through June and July. But officers are working with system leaders through the National Change Programme to look at new ways of working and trial the changes before they're rolled out from April 26 across the country. So we recommend Cabinet approves the SEND inclusion strategy and notes the outcome of the consultation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. Could I ask Mr. Pugsley to speak and move the motion, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm truly delighted to propose the motion on the order paper today. This strategy sets out our vision to enhance outcomes for children and young people with SEND across Leicestershire. It also underscores our unwavering commitment to early identification of things such as needs, delivering effective and practical support, and fostering seamless collaboration across departments such as education, health and care services. And this has been developed through extensive engagement with families, schools and professionals. And this strategy, it really does establish a clear roadmap to empower children and young people with SEND to achieve not only their full potential, but to also live fulfilling lives. By prioritising things such as targeted interventions, robust partnerships, and a system that really does listen to the people that it serves, we aim to create an environment where young people with SEND are not just supported to thrive, but also to pursue their aspirations with confidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pugsley. Could I now call on Mr. Squires to second the motion, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll second the motion on the order paper. I'm very pleased to second this strategy today. The strategy outlines clear priorities for delivering more consistent, timely and child-centred services for children and young people with special education needs and disabilities. The strategy recognises the critical role of health and outlines how education, health and care plans, EHCPs, and services will be strengthened through integrated working with clear pathways for health input and accountability.
Thank you. Is that agreed? Show of hands. Thank you. Thank you. Right, item 6 on our agenda is Adult and Communities Department Strategy 2025-2029, delivering wellbeing opportunities in Leicestershire. The last report today concerns the outcome of the consultation of the draft Adult and Communities Department strategy and seeks our approval on the final strategy. John Wilson, Director of Adults and Communities, and Steve Shippey, the Improvement Manager, are here to present the report, and then I will ask Joseph to speak as the Cabinet Lead Member. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Just me actually today.
Yes, understood.
So thank you. The current strategy
for adults and communities reached its conclusion at the end of 24-25 financial year. The refresh strategy focuses very much on how the department will work on those key themes that we've developed over the last few years of promoting independence and increasing the wellbeing and opportunities for people in Leicestershire. The approach builds very much on the model of wellbeing as defined in the Care Act, which is that of preventing need wherever possible, delaying the point at which people require additional services, reducing the level of service that people need, but obviously meeting need where that's required. The strategy highlights a commitment to strengths-based approaches, focusing on what people can do for themselves and how communities and families can support people. The model is shown in paragraph 19 on the papers today, and the ambitions of the strategy are laid out in paragraph 20. The refresh strategy was created through a large-scale engagement with people who draw on different services of the department, together with interested members of the public, officers, partners, and care providers. The public consultation exercise took place from 18th of February through to the 14th of April and comprised a range of opportunities for people to engage within the consultation, including social media, newsletters, communications, emails, and obviously information on the website, together with specific information which was targeted at our key partners in the voluntary sector, the district councils and the NHS. The outcome of the consultation showed that 400 people viewed the papers and 40 people completed the full survey. Key findings are set out in Appendix B and are summarised in paragraph 36 of today's report. And in paragraph 37, we note some changes that have been made to the strategy as a result of the consultation. The Adults and Communities Overview and Scrutiny Committee considered the draft strategy on the 2nd of June, and their comments are included at paragraph 39. Whole equality impact assessment was undertaken, which identified that there were mainly positive effects for people with protected characteristics, but there were one or two mitigations which the department will undertake as the strategy is deployed. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your report. I'd like to call on Mr. Bone to speak and move the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will move the motion on the order paper. I believe this streamlined strategy adapts to changing service demands, prioritising personal independence, strong local communities and practical opportunities through a common sense, strength-based approach. It builds on the proven model of well-being, preventing, delaying, reducing and meeting need by focusing on clear communication, robust engagement and empowering our workforce and carers. This strategy delivers efficient, effective services for every Leicestershire resident. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I call now on Mr. Charles Whitford to second the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I second that motion.
Thank you. Could I ask if that's all agreed? And a show of hands for those? Yes, thank you. All agreed. Thank you. Item 7, referred from the Overview Scrutiny Committee. There is no items referred from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Any urgent items? There are no urgent items. Therefore, this then brings us to the end of our meeting. I'd like to thank everybody for their attendance and wish them all well and declare the meeting closed. Thank you.